Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Wednesday, December 13th. It is the final FOMC day of the year, so I have no doubt we'll see some very weird volatility heading into and after FOMC, but this could also be a very good pivot point to end the year strong, provided Jerome Powell's comments around inflation, economic progress, unemployment are positive. So let's go ahead and dive into the data. I'm not expecting too long of a session today because a lot of what happens after today is going to depend on FOMC, which is completely out of our hands. So let's build a nice little story, let's pick out some levels and see what happens. So total crypto market cap, up about 1.5% over the past 24 hours. So seeing Bitcoin up 2%, ETH up 1.3%, definitely good. Like to see a small bounce today, hoping that obviously continues. Sentiment is mostly neutral for ETH and Bitcoin. Also neutral for average across the board, but obviously slightly higher, showing alts are clearly what is attracting people right now. Total trading volume still above 60 billion at 65. Total tweet volume is down though, so definitely retail getting a little scared or maybe dejected based on the dip. So that's an interesting signal to see, because if retail is obviously selling or sad, and as exampled by kind of Ethereum and Bitcoin sentiment, then maybe we could have a reversal, because obviously the goal of these dips is to make your sentiment negative, to make you think that buying is not the best option. So as we look towards the most bullish coins, still seeing some positive movements. Bearish coins moving in that direction as well. Fund storage, AKT, XNO, BTU highest up on the day. We are seeing some stablecoin outflows, so definitely not exactly what you want to see, but again we are heading into FOMC day today, so today is usually an outlier compared to other historical days. So Bitcoin sentiment, obviously still dripping a little bit lower, as is ETH sentiment as well. So definitely not the best trend in the world. We definitely want to see that start to curl up, maybe into or following FOMC, and then that'll add a little bit of confidence. But the pattern in general for price action is not the worst. So let's dig into DXY to start, as we typically do. Not much has changed. Again, FOMC days today. So if we break above this level right here, 104.2, we'll head up to here. If we break below this level down here, we will start to head here, maybe a stop right there. But based on this formation right here, if we break down, I think we're going to break down hard. So FOMC will obviously be that spike or drop depending on Jerome Powell's comments. And then equities are still looking good. So, I mean, we were above 4640. I mean, 4600 was quite the struggle, and just been kind of 45-degree angle up. Obviously flat today. Wouldn't expect too much movement prior to FOMC, but I'll get rid of the stuff on the bottom. If we can continue inching higher, we've got a massive gap up here to 4750. So as long as this doesn't break down below 4640, I think that will eventually kind of do something like this, up towards the 4750 level, provided, again, we don't break below 4640. If we do break below 4640, would look for the weekly VWAP or 4600 to kind of act as initial supports. And then, of course, if those break down, then things get a little bit more hairy. But again, as long as we're above 4600, good things are happening. As long as we're above 4640, we can begin targeting all the way up here to 4750. Looking at Bitcoin again, some good price action from the Asia session into today's US session. The one area that is going to give you, a struggle is basically in between these highs right here, which is obviously we are struggling at. Also coincides with the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average and weekly value. So we do know that this kind of whole area right here is going to be tough, and it is acting tough. Doesn't mean we can't break through, but again, probably going to be something that we break through. If we were to break through, is going to be following FOMC. So you can see the lines we do for the TTC community. Obviously, first level is hit, second level is up here, and then obviously the third level is right there. So we are inching higher. We did not sweep the Monday low, but we came pretty close to it. ETH did sweep the Monday low, so we'll check that out in a second. But we didn't sweep the Monday low, so there was no real trade to take from that perspective. But obviously, if you were a buyer down here, you are enjoying the fruits of your labor. So in my opinion, this is going to be the most critical level, at least in the near term. Maybe we bounce back to do something like this and then hold here and then kind of retest this level and then do something like that and then hopefully make our way up. So again, it's going to be tough to really tell anybody what I think is going to happen prior to FOMC, but just based on current price action, maybe we drip back a little bit, and then if FOMC is good, we do something like that. If FOMC is bad, we do something like this, and then we target the Monday low sweep for a long, provided it actually gets swept relatively quickly. So that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. So basically, this level right here and this level right here, very critical in the near term. Above that, you should be able to fly up to 44K. And then if we're below, we would still look for that Monday low trade. And then at worst, 39.6, I think we'll probably hold. And again, talked about that 38 level. Maybe we don't tap that. But again, if we do drop back on, let's say, a bad FOMC or some crazy reaction, then I would definitely expect 38 to hold. If it doesn't, things definitely start to change. But above 38, we're good. Above 39.6, really good. And above 40 is best case scenario in the near term. So looking at ETH, you will see, obviously, we had that Monday low sweep, right? So the trade would have been up to, ideally, you would have probably been targeting, these levels, which kind of coincide with Bitcoin. But again, for any trade like this, the weekly VWAP is always critical because it's the volume weighted average price, right? So it's the average price based on the volume metric. So always just a good kind of area to target. Clearly have not made it up to the top of value since we had that Monday dump. So that's definitely a little bit concerning. Technically you kind of broke this trend, or actually you didn't really break the trend. You just kind of wicked above the trend, right? So definitely a little bit worrying there. So kind of building that same theory around Bitcoin, knowing that, or around Ethereum, knowing that Ethereum is weaker than Bitcoin, probably would expect, to drop back maybe to 2190, maybe 2180. And then, of course, if you get below that level, then you will drop back down to the Monday low, and then maybe another Monday low sweep trade, also possibly a double bottom right there. That would be then, hopefully propel you higher. And then in the off chance that we just end up jumping higher, maybe we close above the weekly VWAP. We've still got 30 minutes left in this hourly, so anything can happen. Although tweezers do not look positive. If we close close above the weekly VWAP, then we would target the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average, to then which we would target this level, and then you have a couple levels above to really think about. So I'm sure we'll see some reaction, right around these levels here, and then above these levels here, you've got free range up to this range up here. And of course, this is the Monday high right here sitting at 23.55. So in my opinion, very similar to Bitcoin, probably pull back a little bit in FOMC. If FOMC is good, we shoot up. If FOMC is bad, we shoot down. We play the Monday, low trade if we get to sweep down there. And then in the worst case scenario, I would expect, 2130 to hold. I would expect 2070 to hold. And if we break below, 2170, things get really hairy. Because again, we've been forming these higher lows, right, on all of these scales. And so now we've got kind of this equal high, and we want to stay above really these levels, which means we can wick down here, but we need a quick buyback above 2130. And if we can stay above 2130, then the bullish market structure is still intact. I mean, bullish market structure technically still intact, above 2070, but it does get hairy because then you start to think about a possible market structure break. Then you have to start analyzing the candles, and it gets a lot more hairy. So we would very much rather prefer 2130 hold, and worst case scenario, we have a wick down to 2070, 2030 with a strong buyback. And if that buyback doesn't happen, then we have to change our bias. So, the final note that I'll make is just about FOMC, because, this could really go any way, shape, or form. So, FOMC interest rate decision. So that's probably going to be flat. I'm not expecting them to raise rates. Everything is currently headed in the right direction, although inflation is a little bit stickier than we'd probably like. And then 2:30 is when the press conference starts. So typically you'll see a bunch of volatility between 2 and 2:30, and then around 2:15, 2:30, the momentum will set in, and typically we'll trade in that direction for the rest of the session, possibly for the rest of the week. So interest rates decision is probably going to be flat. You're going to see a bunch. It's going to look like the Richter scale on the chart, just kind of back and forth nonsensically. And then once we get, the minutes, which come prior to his press conference, but it's tough to really read through those. So it's just almost better to kind of listen to his press conference. And so if he's talking about he's pleased with inflation, he's pleased with unemployment, he's pleased with economic progress. There's, they're currently not, they currently do not have any hikes scheduled. They're discussing, what the terminal rate or how long they'll keep rates at the terminal rate. So kind of hinting at A, we're done hiking, and B, we're already thinking about pulling back on rates, meaning decreasing rates, which is kind of what the market's focused on next, because there's general consensus that the market's reached the terminal rate, which is the cap on how high the Fed is going to lift the federal funds rate. So basically, more or less, if he's pleased with everything, they don't have any more hikes set, and they're already thinking about pulling back, that's going to be very bullish. If we don't get much language around pulling back or whatever, then that's up to the market to kind of decide. But generally, if they do not think they will hike any further, and they're generally pleased with inflation, unemployment, markets should head higher. So I'm not expecting really too much of a dovish press conference, but I'm not expecting a hawkish one. And I think at this point in the market, if you're not getting a hawkish conference, it's good. If we end up getting a dovish conference, which means he's very bullish, he's giving plenty of indication to the market of what he's thinking, then we maybe skyrocket higher. But I have a feeling that we'll probably drip on the interest rate decision, because that's kind of sell the news event, right? Everybody's like, oh, will he not? So we drip down, then we get bought back up, then we're volatile back and forth. And then as long as he speaks kindly to economic progress and inflationary progress, markets should head higher. If he's not pleased, if they think about another hike, if he's kind of giving language where they're keeping the terminal rate for all of 2024 or maybe indefinitely, something like that, then maybe the market kind of crabs a little bit lower. I'm not expecting a big shock to the system today. I'm trying to think about what would shock the system. He'd have to come out and beat a pretty hawkish, terrible picture of everything right now for everything to spike lower. So definitely thinking we sell off ever so slightly around 2, but I have a feeling that we will kind of power back through at 2:30, which kind of goes along what I was talking about Bitcoin. Maybe we drop back, one more time and then kind of end up heading higher. But I'll be looking to see what that strength looks like at 2:30. And of course, if we do sweep the lows again, I'll be looking to take that trade right there, which would be enter at the big circle and then set your stop right here at that little tiny circle. And so that's what I'll be looking for with Bitcoin and ETH. And just to go over a few strong coins just really quickly, INJ has been a top performer. I'd be careful though, because kind of forming a lower high. So I would want to see a break above the circled area. Sol has been strong, but also, relatively weak in the past couple of days, but it did sweep that Monday low, right? I don't know why I guess it dropped further than what I had drawn, but average your Monday low, swept the Monday low, moved higher. So again, kind of similarly, maybe we do something like that. Enter again right here. What's another one? AVAX has been strong, up 2% today. So yeah, it's kind of selling off right around where the weekly value is, as well as this little area. So it basically kind of swept the Monday high again. So would want to see a confirmed break the Monday high to get long there. But if we swept the Monday low, definitely get long on the Monday low. Or maybe if we swept this area right here, I'd maybe test a long. If we swept this area, set the long there, set the stop there. And let's see, anything else that looks interesting. No, nothing too much. Don't want to spread everybody too thin. But those are some of the winners right now. So basically, what I'm expecting, like I said, probably small little pullback in FOMC. As long as the language in FOMC is good, probably should head higher following that. But again, that's just preliminary. That's what I'm thinking. I will have to change my bias if the language and Jerome Powell's press conference is different than what I think. But that's kind of preliminary thoughts right now. Again, listen to the press conference. If he is hawkish, if he's, down on economic progress and everything like that, then definitely ease up and don't trade, or just wait to trade till he's done speaking, because again, these are very difficult trading days, and it's always smart to wait till about the 2:30 mark to even enter any trades. If you're trading between 2 and 2:30, you either have insider information, you've been doing this for years and years and years, or you have some serious conviction as to what's going to happen. And in my opinion, there's very few people who fit that mold, so it's just better to wait till that 2:30 mark. So with that being said, good luck, happy trading. See everybody tomorrow.